Hey everyone, what's up? Happy Bulletproof Monday. I hope you're having an amazing start to your week already. And if you are here live, I want to do big shouts out to you. If you are listening to the podcast version or watching on YouTube and this information resonates for you, I would love for you to share it, or I'd love a 5-star review. Bulletproof Monday is essentially a place where we commune together as small business owners, startup founders, people who are really out there hustling as entrepreneurs, and we all need a little support now and again. And whatever it is you might be going through, I just hope you are rocking it. Today we're going to talk about the power of tough decisions. And in our average day, we make 36,000 decisions. So from choosing when we're getting out of bed, what we're doing first, what we're going to eat, what we're wearing, 36,000 decisions. It's insane. It's crazy. And at the end of the day, when we have so many decisions to make, when we're in a leadership role, sometimes we can procrastinate on the tough decisions, the ones we know in our heart we need to make, but we're not making them. And those tough decisions that we put off, those can end up leading to big problems. The most successful people on the planet are able to make the tough decisions that are going to move their businesses forward. I'm going to give you some strategies today that may sound very commonplace, but really and truly, if you can implement those, they're going to save you a lot of headache and heartache. If you don't know me, my name is Susan Sly. I am a startup founder in the tech space. I am also an entrepreneur and author of 7 books. I'm a mom of 5 kids. And really and truly, I'm a person just like you. I'm someone who really wants a better life for her family, wants to go out there and serve people. And, being in business isn't easy. Sometimes when we're putting ourselves out there, it can be exhausting. And I created this Bulletproof Monday program as a free way to serve all of you, as a place you can come and get some ideas and inspiration. So before I get into today's content, I want to say special hello to some of the raving fans who come every week. Hey, Bruce, it's so great to see you. I was just thinking about you this morning. Hey, Marcia, it's so good to see you too. I love what you're doing in the world. It's great to see you, Glenn and Lynn and Ann and all of you who show up. Hey, Melissa, it's great to see you too. So let's get into some tough decisions. I want to share with you just a quick story. So I am keynote speaking for the Global Chamber Conference here in Phoenix, and it's a huge honor. I'm one of 25 keynote speakers, and my topic is leadership, the power of making tough decisions and how that can lead to more profit. And I was sitting with it and I was saying, you know what, I'd love to serve my BPM community. It's an invitation-only event, the summit, but I'd love to share with you some of the content that I'm going to be sharing with all of these amazing thought leaders tomorrow. And so that's what I'm going to be doing, except you guys are going to get 6 tips and they're only going to get 3. So check that out. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as we come to the end of the year, I want you to know in your heart that you can't be the same person in a new year and expect different results. Your baggage comes with you. Your poor habits, your procrastination comes with you. And if there are some decisions in your heart you need to make, or you're longing to make, and you're not making them, you are going to start the year with all of that weight on you. And I know that's not what you want. I know you want to start the year just in a place of expansiveness and being ready and open and willing to accept prosperity. But if you're carrying around all that stuff, it's not going to happen. And so at the beginning of every year, I choose a word that I want to define the year. Last year, I selected the word unbecoming, and it was from a poem it was a piece of writing by Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist. And in it, he wrote about the fact that really and truly, it's not about us becoming something. It's about us unbecoming everything we're not supposed to be. And so I said, that's great. That's going to be my word. 2019, it's about unbecoming. Well, when you set an intention like that, it's amazing how powerfully it shows up. It's incredible how God really reflects back to you whatever it is you intend. And so 2019 was a year where I did unbecome a lot of things. And I realized that I had been, if you didn't see last week's show, this is kind of piggybacking on that. I had been in a place where I had taken on roles that weren't really me any longer. We're constantly growing as people. We're constantly evolving. Every life experience we have changes us. It can only transform us and transform us in a way that is new, it is better, it is different, or it might be in a way that's not necessarily healthy for us. And so as I started to set this intention to unbecome, so many things happened in my personal life and my professional life. And so at this stage, here I am sharing BPM with you, and I'm back in my tech roots. I used to code in 1990 and 91. I was working on a project where we were doing early facial recognition quantification. And if you don't know what that is, it was a lot of math and a lot of coding. I'm here as a tech founder, and I feel so grateful, very much ensconced in this tech community in Phoenix. And we took our company, my fellow co-founders and I, to being one of the top 10 hottest startups in Phoenix. It was a huge honor. You know, here I am at this stage of the game as someone who is much more embracing her techie side, which I had when I was a kid, but I had put to the way because I unbecame that woman who said, I don't understand technology. So I could tell you lots of different stories, but the first thing I want to begin with is that as we go into 2020, the next couple of BPMs are really going to be about, one, creating a clearing. This is what we've been living into, clearing away anything we don't want to bring with us into the new year. And then we're going to talk about how we want to set ourselves up for success for a brand new 2020. And some of you are going to receive very exclusive invitations from me to work with me all through 2020. It's not going out to a lot of people, but it's going to be very exclusive. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to talk about personal mastery. We're actually going to meet up physically. It's going to be tremendous. And if that's something you want an invitation to, make sure you're on my list on susansly.com, because I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but I am going to do it for 2020. It's going to be powerful. We are going to work together. We're going to grow together. We're going to talk about everything from investing. If you're wanting to meet up with me locally, we're going to do projects like go and feed the homeless together. It's going to be a year of transformation. So that is coming, but only people who are willing to make hard decisions now, who are willing to unload their baggage now, who are willing to start 2020 with a fresh slate are going to get that invitation. I have a massive, massive list. Not everyone on the list is getting the invitation. So jumping in, so we want to think about, where do we want to go in 2020? And if you could set an intention that came down to one word, what would it be? My word for 2020 is fulfillment. So everything that I'm choosing to do personally and professionally must align with fulfillment. And if you're not aligned with something, it doesn't feel good. Once you set that intention, people, business relationships, all sorts of things will, as Gwyneth Paltrow said, consciously uncoupling, they will consciously uncouple from you. So if Marcia sets the word for 2020, let's say she says it's going to be prosperity, anything that isn't in alignment with prosperity will just uncouple from Marcia. And that includes people, that includes circumstances, situations. It's amazing how fast this happens when we choose to align. We're not going to be in alignment if we're in a place of anxiety, if we're in a place of fear, if we're in a place of animosity, if we're in a place of doubt. And that's where these tough decisions come in. It's about clearing things away that aren't in alignment with who you're living into. Does that make sense? If it does, say yes in the chat right now. And I know you're so excited for next year. And at this time of year, I know we're going to the holidays and it's like, oh my gosh, and in January I'm going to start. In January I'm going to start. If you are someone who's connected with me, we don't start our new year in January. We clean stuff up now so that we have a fresh start in January. Unlike other people who don't live into their resolutions, don't live into their goals, you're an achiever, you're a go-getter, you're here, you're showing up. You're going to stay to the very end of this episode because you want 2020 to be that year that takes you to a whole new level, one that you didn't even think was possible. And the only way that's going to happen is for you to unload and release some of the stuff that you've been carrying with you. Does that sound good? All right, so let's get into how we make these tough decisions. Tough decisions can fall in business specifically into some different areas. Maybe we have an employee that really needs to be let go. And you know that that relationship isn't healthy any longer, and it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for the person. No one likes to fire people. I know I certainly don't. I've had to do it before. It's not fun. Maybe maybe it's a tough decision that you're thinking about. Maybe you've been working from home and you need to go into an office and you're like pushing, should I go into an office? Should I not go into an office? Or maybe you're in a role in a company and you're like, it's a tough decision, but my business is starting to make money. Maybe I need to go and just focus on that for the next year, or whatever that tough decision is. It's not for me to tell you what the tough decisions are. You already know in your heart. They're the ones that keep you up at night. They're the ones you can't stop thinking about. They're the ones that you keep procrastinating on. You know what they are. Maybe it's cleaning up your taxes. That's a tough one. Maybe it's incorporating. Maybe it's starting another company. It just feels so daunting and overwhelming. Maybe it's winding down something. Maybe it's a relationship that, I don't believe in separating a relationship and having animosity. I always love it to just separate and just love the person and just move on, because we're in different paths, whatever the case is. But either way, the longer you put off the tough decisions, the more opportunity is, much like a snowball. An avalanche is started by little bits of snow, and they just keep picking up and picking up more snow until it becomes a full-blown dangerous avalanche. The same thing is true for all of you. And thank you so much for your hearts and all of the thumbs up and everything. The same thing is true for all of you, that when you're putting off these tough decisions, it can become like an avalanche and it just begins to snowball. And so some of the things that I've been doing in my own life, and looking at 3 businesses that I run, it's a lot, is saying, okay, how is it that I want to show up in those businesses? My time is limited. What are some things I can do right now, even if they're tough decisions? And it might mean to, be showing up only in a certain way, in a certain capacity, or to be showing up in a certain location at a certain time, or doing whatever it is. And I'm starting that now, because when I do go into my Christmas break with my family, I really want to be on break. And when January comes, I want to hit the ground running. I don't want to be cleaning this stuff up then. And I'm sure you're all in the same boat. I hope you are. So how do we make tough decisions? I'm going to give you 6 tips right now. The first one is to give yourself a deadline. Mel Robbins says, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, decide. So one of the things I'll say to my team is, do you have enough information to make a decision? If you don't, what information do you need to find out in the next 24 hours so we can come to a decision? And I love 24-hour deadlines, because it really forces you to get myopic and to go, okay, what information can I find out in order to make that decision? Once the decision is made, it's amazing how things begin to just effortlessly line up for you. Recently, I made a decision, and it's incredible because the moment I made that decision, it's just people came in to support the decision. I started to get invitations to events that were surrounding that decision, and it wasn't about me working harder. For years, I told myself this story that the only way to become successful was to hustle, hustle, grind, 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 and it's not always about working harder to the point of exhaustion. Sometimes it's about just making the decision and things automatically begin to align. And I know some of you say universe or whatever. I say God. If you show up on Mondays, I always say God. That once you make that decision, God begins to show up and support it. It's just incredible, incredible ways. It's amazing how that happens. Number 2, make your tough decisions in the morning. There was a study done by 2 Israeli researchers, and they were looking at parole verdicts for convicted felons in Israel. And they found that if the felon appeared before a judge in the morning, they were over 60% likely to get parole. If they appeared late in the afternoon, they were 60% less likely to get parole. If they were first on the docket right after a break, the chances of parole went up again. So as our day goes on, we become exhausted. As I said, 36,000 decisions in a day, and then we're tired. And it's like, how do we make more decisions? And so we want to make those powerful decisions first thing in the morning. And that means not, hey, Colin, it's great to see you. That means not, right, getting up, scrolling our phone. Oh my gosh, what's going on IG or LI or Twitter or whatever. It's getting up in the morning and going, okay, what's my decision? I'm going to clear my head, have my coffee, and I'm going to go. Don't make the tough decisions later in the day. You're not going to make the right decision, chances are. Number 3 is exercise and then make the decision. So exercise is a catalyst for us to secrete endorphins. Endorphins are our feel-good hormone. And so think about it. Are you going to make the best decision for your life, for your business, when your hormones are causing you to feel good and feel happy? Of course, you're in a much better position to make a stronger decision. So exercise, go out and get some rigorous exercise. You could power walk, you could get on your Peloton, you could go for a run, you could do whatever you need to do to get your head on straight. And then it's like, okay, as soon as I'm done my workout, I'm making this decision. That's one of the strategies I use. So I get up in the morning, I'll pray, meditate, then I'm going to go for a workout, and then boom, I'm going to make the decision. I do not make great decisions if I'm exhausted and I haven't worked out. That's just me personally. Number 4 is get a wing woman or a wingman, and someone who is not in your business. So let's say that Colin had a tough decision to make, and about his business. Well, maybe having another person's perspective who's not in it and not emotionally attached can help. And that is something I do often. So for me, one of the people who used to help me make decisions was my friend Ken. And sadly, a couple of years ago, he passed from cancer. I was thinking a lot about him this weekend because one of the last videos he sent me was around this time of year, and he was speaking at the local Rotary Club in the city he lived in, and then he passed in February, a couple months later. But Ken was my person, and I'd be like, hey, this is a decision. And he would really help me look at all the different aspects because he wasn't in my business. Now, I would not suggest you ask for someone who's not a business person to help you make a decision unless that person maybe is an attorney or a CPA who has a really good business perspective. But, if you have a special person in your life who is going to be unabashedly honest, get them to help you with that decision. Number 5, this is one of my favorites, is create a financial estimate of how much it is costing you to not make that decision. So once upon a time, I had an employee that initially it was really, really great. And then I knew that employee was not performing. I would message them. They wouldn't message me back for hours. They started to make mistakes. They actually booked my travel in the wrong state. They, did, all sorts of interesting things. But I just had this heart that I love people and I want to serve people, and I didn't want to let them go. And I sat down and I asked myself, how much money is it costing me to keep this employee? And it wasn't just how much I was paying that employee, but I was spending about an hour a day being upset that this employee was underperforming. And so that was my time, worth thousands of dollars a week, plus what I was paying this person. And so eventually, that ended. And very shortly after that, that's when I attracted this amazing person into my life to come work with me. And then, profits and revenue soared 3x after that person was gone. In another situation, I know some of you are in businesses that like network marketing. It's very, very common, this saying that the people who take you to one level aren't the people who take you to the next level. And maybe your decision is just to say, just because someone's appeared in your team, but you don't have a healthy relationship with them, is just to lovingly say, hey, you do your thing. I love you. I support you. Clearly, I'm not the leader for you, and that's totally okay. Maybe that's the conversation you need to have, because the moment you do, I promise you, it creates a clearing for those next great people to come into your life and into your team. Hey, Dad, it's great to see you. The sixth and final suggestion I have for you in terms of making tough decisions is really old school, and it goes to the pros and cons. So when I was thinking about, how much I wanted our family to move to the United States, Harvey Mackay, New York Times bestseller, is one of my mentors. And Harvey said to me, Susan, do a pros and cons list. And so I did. We did the pros, we did the cons, and then it came down to Arizona versus California. He said, do another pros and cons list. So we did the pros, the cons, the taxes, this, that, and the other thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. It is one of the most powerful things to do. And as easy as it sounds, it's not used enough. And so with that, if you have a tough decision to make, in the chat, you don't have to disclose what it is. Just say, yeah, I have a tough decision to make, Susan, and this really helped. If you have a comment or a takeaway, please, hey, Lisbeth, it's great to see you. Hey, Patty, if you have a takeaway, I would love to see it here. If this has been helpful for you, would you mind going ahead and sharing it? Bulletproof Mondays, again, it's my way of, showing up, mid-afternoon or evening, depending where you are, and just helping you align with your goals and your vision in terms of where you want to be. Business isn't easy, but oh my gosh, it's worth it. And as a friend of mine, I'll close with this, always says, the climb is tough, but the view is amazing. So get this stuff cleaned up. You will also see on my page on Wednesday night, I'm doing a very special free training on 12 ways that you can use video in 2020 to help accelerate your business. The statistics with video are mind-blowing, but you do have to register. We're giving away some great prizes, so go ahead and get registered for that. And lastly, at the beginning, as I shared, in 2020, I'm going to be working with a very small, intimate, select group of people, mentoring them for a whole year. That invitation is not going out to everyone. Again, it really is only going out to people that I feel are going to receive tremendous amount of value. We're going to do a lot of stuff together over the course of the year. It's going to be so powerful and so profound. But the only way to get that invitation is to be on my list, but just because you're on my list doesn't mean you're going to get the invitation. So if you definitely want the invitation, go ahead and message us and say, I definitely want that invitation. You will find out more in the coming 10 days. So with that, God bless. Go out there and rock your day. Next BPM, we are going to be talking about, I'm going to be in Maui next Monday. I have to think, where am I going to be? I'm going to be in Maui, and we're going to be talking about how do we begin to set up our plan for 2020 so it's the most prosperous, productive, and purposeful year of our lives. So with that, God bless. Take care. Bye, Daddy. It was great to see you. My dad's here every Monday. Love you, Dad. All right. Bye, everyone.